The transmission crackled through the intercom, sizzling like an electric shock across the silent corridors of the secret research base nestled within the obsidian mountains of NGC 7723. Attention, all personnel. The voice was clinical, devoid of emotion, an artificial resonance that carried authority. Effective immediately, the use of sarcasm is prohibited under Directive Alpha Zeta. Compliance is mandatory. Dr. Alara Voss paused mid-step, her hand frozen above the surface of her digital console. The sudden decree was not just unexpected, it was absurd. Sarcasm had been a staple of human expression since the dawn of their linguistic capabilities. To ban it was to strip them of a fundamental layer of communication. She glanced around the lab, her fellow researchers exchanging bewildered looks that said more than words ever could. "Is this some kind of joke?" murmured Dr. Reed, a geophysicist whose wit was as sharp as his calculations. His voice carried a mixture of incredulity and disbelief, yet there was no punchline to dissolve the tension suffusing the room. Alara shook her head, her dark curls bouncing slightly as she returned her focus to the console. "No joke," she replied, her tone devoid of the sarcasm that now risked punitive action. "I suspect it's another measure from our esteemed overseers to assert control." The overseers, the aliens who had, decades ago, emerged from the cosmic shadows to dictate the terms of humanity's survival. Their technology was unmatched, their intentions opaque. They governed with an iron grip, and now they sought to mute a facet of human culture. Reed opened his mouth to retort, thought better of it, and instead gestured towards the main display where the latest results from the dark matter synthesis experiments flickered. "Without sarcasm, how else are we going to interpret these numbers?" he asked, settling into his work with a resigned sigh. The data streams cascaded down the monitors, revealing the intricacies of their latest endeavor, the synthesis and harnessing of dark matter, the universe's most elusive resource. Alara knew that the stakes were high. Dark matter was the lifeblood of the galaxy's technological advancements, and whoever mastered its manipulation controlled power beyond imagination. The race to harness it had intensified, especially after the discovery of the vast deposits hidden within the folds of this remote sector. The research base, cloaked in secrecy and nestled beneath the planet's surface, was humanity's clandestine bid to stay competitive. Alara had dedicated years to this project, leading a team of elite scientists handpicked for their expertise. They operated on the cutting edge, where risks and rewards were equally astronomical. She pushed back from the console and stood, the hum of the facility's systems resonating through her bones. "Let's focus on the task at hand," she said, her voice steady. "We have a timetable to keep, and the overseers won't tolerate delays." Yet beneath her calm exterior, Alara felt the stirrings of rebellion, a quiet defiance against an edict that seemed designed to erode their spirit. She wasn't alone in this. Whispers of dissent had been circulating, even before the ban, as tensions simmered beneath the surface of their dutiful compliance. As she moved towards the containment chamber, where the dark matter was stabilized for experimentation, the lights dimmed suddenly, a telltale sign of an incoming transmission. The air crackled with anticipation, and everyone stilled, eyes riveted to the central screen. The face that appeared was familiar, an overseer, its features inscrutable, eyes like liquid mercury set in a visage that defied human comprehension. "Your progress is satisfactory," it intoned, the voice a low hum like the distant rumble of a gathering storm. "However, we remind you that adherence to Directive Alpha Zeta is paramount. Violations will result in severe consequences." Alara felt a flicker of defiance spark in her chest. The overseers may wield control, but they did not understand the human spirit. The screen went blank, leaving a silence that pressed down on them like a tangible weight. "Well, isn't that just delightful?" Reed muttered under his breath, sarcasm dripping from every word. Alara shot him a warning look, but the corners of her mouth twitched in reluctant agreement. "Let's get back to work," she said, redirecting the team's focus. "We have equations to solve and mysteries to unravel." Hours passed in a blur of calculations and calibrations, the team working with a fervor born of urgency. Each success was a step closer to unlocking the secrets of dark matter, yet each failure was a reminder of the thin line they walked under the overseer's watchful gaze. As the clock ticked towards the end of their shift, Alara felt the weight of fatigue settling in her bones. She stood and stretched, feeling the muscles protest, and decided to check on the latest batch of synthesized dark matter. The containment chamber loomed before her, a testament to human ingenuity and stubbornness. The chamber doors hissed open, revealing the pulsing, inky substance within. Dark matter was a paradox, both ethereal and potent, its potential as vast as the void from which it was plucked. Alara approached, her eyes scanning the readouts for anomalies. A sudden spike on the monitor caught her attention, a rogue fluctuation that danced across the screen like a taunt. She frowned, tapping the console to isolate the anomaly. The readings were erratic, the data points skittering like frightened insects. "Read," she called, her voice tinged with urgency. "Something's off. Take a look at this." He joined her, his eyes narrowing as he scrutinized the data. "That's not supposed to happen," he said, understating the problem with characteristic flair. "Could be a containment breach." Alara's heart skipped a beat. A breach could be catastrophic, the consequences unthinkable. "Initiate lockdown procedures," she instructed, her voice calm and decisive. "We can't risk an uncontrolled reaction." The klaxons blared, a piercing wail that reverberated through the facility. Red emergency lights bathed the corridors in an ominous glow, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe with a life of their own. The team moved with practiced precision, securing the lab and stabilizing the containment fields. Alara's fingers flew over the console, executing commands with the fluidity born of necessity. The readings steadied, the rogue fluctuation subsiding into the background hum of normalcy. But the reprieve was short-lived. A new alert flashed across the screen, a warning that set her pulse racing. External sensors were detecting movement, an unauthorized approach to the base. "What now?" Reed muttered, his eyes darting to the screen displaying the exterior monitors. The grainy feed showed the blurred outlines of figures moving with purpose through the darkness. "Prepare for contact," Alara ordered, her mind racing through contingency plans. "We can't let them compromise the project." The team armed themselves with the base's limited defenses, their expressions grim but determined. The overseer's ban on sarcasm might have been the catalyst, but this intrusion was the spark that could ignite something far greater. The intruders breached the outer perimeter with alarming ease, moving like phantoms through the corridors. Alara's heart pounded in her chest, adrenaline sharpening her senses to a razor's edge. As the intruders approached, Alara caught her first glimpse of them. They were humanoid, clad in dark suits that blended seamlessly with the shadows. Their faces were obscured, but their intent was clear. "Identify yourselves," Alara demanded, her voice steady despite the tension that thrummed in the air. One of the figures stepped forward, removing their mask to reveal a face that was achingly human. "We're here to help," the woman said, her voice a mixture of defiance and urgency. "Help?" Reed echoed, skepticism coloring his tone. "You're the ones who breached our security." The woman nodded, her gaze unwavering. "We had to get in before the overseers realized what you were onto," she explained. "They can't know you've nearly succeeded." Alara's mind raced, piecing together implications and possibilities. "Who are you?" she asked, needing to understand the stakes. "We're part of the resistance," the woman replied, her eyes alight with a fire that spoke of conviction and sacrifice. "We've been watching your progress, waiting for the right moment. The overseers want to control dark matter, but we believe it should be used to free humanity, not enslave it." Alara felt the ground shift beneath her feet, the weight of their situation settling like a lodestone in her gut. The overseer's grip was tightening, and their project had become a flashpoint in a larger struggle. Before she could respond, the klaxons blared again, a shrill warning that echoed through the corridors. The overseers were onto them. their calculated retribution looming like a storm on the horizon. "We don't have much time," the woman urged, her voice a beacon in the chaos. "We need to secure the data and the dark matter, get it out before they arrive." Alara nodded, her resolve hardening. The rebellion had begun, and she would not stand idly by. The overseers had tried to silence their voices, but they had only succeeded in amplifying them. "Let's move," she said, her voice carrying the weight of decision. "We have a universe to change." Together, they worked with a frenetic energy born of desperation and hope, downloading critical data and preparing the dark matter for transport. The facility's systems groaned under the strain, lights flickering as power was diverted to their efforts. The resistance operatives guided them with practiced efficiency, their knowledge of the base's layout uncanny. Alara wondered how long they had been planning this, how closely they had been watching. As they made their way towards the extraction point, the ground trembled, a distant rumble growing in intensity. The overseers were closing in, their ships descending from the sky like harbingers of doom. Reed stumbled, his hand brushing against the cold metal of the corridor wall. "Do you think they'll destroy the base?" he asked, his voice a low murmur barely audible over the cacophony. Alara shook her head, determination etched in every line of her face. "They won't get the chance," she replied, the words a promise. "Not if we succeed." The final stretch was a blur of motion and urgency, the team working in concert with the resistance operatives. The extraction point was a small hangar, hidden from view by the rugged terrain. A ship awaited them, its engines humming with readiness. As they boarded, Alara spared a final glance at the base, its silhouette stark against the starry sky. This was just the beginning, she knew. The race for dark matter had become a struggle for freedom, and she was prepared to fight. The ship's engines roared to life, lifting them into the sky, away from the overseer's grasp. Below, the base shimmered with the energy of a coming storm, a testament to the rebellion that had been born in the dark. Alara took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the stars beyond. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and possibility, but they would face it together, united in purpose. As the stars streaked by, she felt the weight of the universe settle on her shoulders, a burden she was willing to bear. The overseers may have banned sarcasm, but they could not ban their hope, their resolve, or their humanity. The rebellion had begun, and there was no turning back. The dim glow of the holographic display cast elongated shadows across the command deck of the UNS Galatea. Captain Elena Drayton's gaze was fixed on the swirling mass of the simulated dark matter nebula, a region of space teetering on the edge of scientific speculation and unprecedented opportunity. Across the holotable, the projected data streams from the narrowband sensors rendered an eerie dance of probabilities and near certainties, the interplay of forces beyond conventional understanding. "Captain, the latest telemetry from probe array Beta 6 shows increased gravitational anomalies," reported Lieutenant Commander Rhea Vaughn, her fingers deftly manipulating the interface to zoom into the critical section of the nebula. "The readings suggest an elevated presence of dark matter clusters. If the models hold, the concentrations are at 60% higher density than our initial projections." Elena absorbed the information, her mind rapidly processing the implications. "That means the extraction yields could outstrip our current processing capabilities," she concluded, more to herself than to Vaughn. Her tone remained steady, betraying none of the anxiety she felt gnawing at her composure. "We need to recalibrate our harvester algorithms and expand the containment fields before we proceed any further." "Aye, Captain." Vaughn's acknowledgement was curt, her focus already shifting to the task of coordinating with the engineering team. In the corner of the command deck, Dr. Marcus Ayers, lead astrophysicist, paced with deliberate precision. His habitual restlessness was exacerbated by the mounting tension. "Elena, if I may," he interjected, "we are venturing into uncharted territory. The gravitic fluctuations alone could compromise structural integrity if our safeguards aren't rigorously maintained." "You're not telling me anything I don't already know, Marcus," Elena replied, her voice carrying an edge of steel. But we're not the only ones aware of these concentrations. We're running out of time. As if on cue, the comms officer, Ensign Dahl, broke through the tense silence. Captain, we're picking up a transmission on encrypted frequency ZETA-9. Source confirmed. It's the Xylar Syndicate. Alina's expression hardened. The Xylar Syndicate, a consortium of rogue operatives and mercenaries, had been a constant thorn in the side of the United Nations Space Command. Their interest in dark matter was both opportunistic and ruthless. Put it through, Ensign. The voice that crackled over the comms was smooth and calculated, dripping with the confidence of someone who played at high stakes. UNS Galatea, this is Syndicate Commander Hadron Tyros. We are aware of your operations within the nebula. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences. Elena didn't hesitate. This is Captain Drayden of the UNS Galatea. We are on a sanctioned mission under the United Nations directive. Your interference will be met with appropriate defensive measures. A chuckle resonated ominously from the speakers. Defensive measures? Captain Drayden, you misunderstand. The nebula is our domain now. Your gallantry is commendable, but it will cost you dearly. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving an uneasy silence in its wake. Elena turned to her crew, her resolve unshaken. Prepare for potential hostilities. Vaughn, I want all tactical systems on high alert. Ayers, ensure our data on those dark matter concentrations is secure. Vaughn nodded, her hands already in motion across the tactical interface. We're switching to active defense protocols. Shields at maximum readiness. Weapons primed. Ayers, though more accustomed to equations than combat scenarios, responded with equal urgency. Data is being encrypted and backed up to redundant cores now. We can't afford to lose any of it, not with the stakes this high. Outside the viewport, the void appeared deceptively tranquil, the nebula's distant hues painting a canvas of cosmic beauty. Yet, within its depths, forces brewed that defied natural comprehension. The Galatea was a speck against the vastness, and the Syndicate's presence made the cosmic backdrop all the more threatening. Captain, multiple signatures detected, Vaughn reported, her voice taut. 3 Syndicate vessels inbound, vectoring to intercept our trajectory. Elena processed this new development with the precision of a strategist accustomed to high-pressure environments. Maintain our course. We need to draw them away from the probe arrays. Ensign Dahl, send a high-priority distress signal to command. We cannot let them disrupt our operations here. Signal sent, Captain. Dahl confirmed, his fingers flying over the comms panel. Engage evasive maneuvers, pattern Delta, Elena ordered, her decision swift and calculated. The Galatea heaved as the thrusters responded, weaving an intricate path through the gravitational anomalies that dotted the nebula. The Syndicate ships, sleek and predatory, loomed ever closer, their design bespoke of speed and firepower, optimized for the kind of guerrilla warfare they excelled at. Elena watched the tactical display, the red blips of their pursuers closing in. They're moving to flank, Vaughn warned, her analysis rapid and precise. Preparing to engage. Steady, Lieutenant. We've faced worse odds, Elena reassured her, though internally she weighed each move with the gravity of life and death. The first salvo erupted from the nearest Syndicate vessel, streaks of energy lancing toward the Galatea. The ship's shields flared, absorbing the brunt of the assault but not without consequence. The deck shuddered underfoot, a tangible reminder of their precarious predicament. Shields holding, but they won't last under sustained fire, Vaughn reported, her expression a mask of concentration. Elena's mind raced, formulating contingencies against the ever-encroaching threat. Rotate shield harmonics. It might buy us some time. Return fire, but focus on disabling maneuvers rather than outright destruction. We need to keep them at bay. The Galatea's railguns responded, delivering precise bursts of kinetic energy. The Syndicate ships dodged with agile grace, their pilots skilled adversaries. Yet Elena's strategy was one of endurance, not immediate victory. Marcus, what's the status on the gravimetric recalibrations? Elena called, her attention divided between the tactical readouts and the flickering lights of combat. Ayers, hunched over a terminal, did not look up as he responded. "We're close. If we can stabilize the field interactions, we'll have a window to continue extraction without catastrophic feedback." "Make it happen," Elena urged, the weight of the mission pressing heavily on her shoulders. The exchange of fire intensified, the Galatea's defenses performing admirably under Bond's direction. Yet the Syndicate ships persisted, their tactics relentless and unyielding. Each maneuver was a test of Elena's resolve, her decisions a delicate balance between aggression and preservation. "Elena, they're adapting," Ayers observed, casting a worried glance at the tactical display. "Their maneuvers are becoming more coordinated. We need a breakthrough soon." Before Elena could respond, the deck jolted violently, an impact resonating through the hull. The lights flickered momentarily, a stark reminder of their vulnerability. "Direct hit on the aft quarter," Bond reported, her voice strained. "Structural integrity compromised. We need to reposition." Elena's mind raced, calculations and contingencies intermingling in a chaotic dance. "Adjust vector, pattern epsilon. We'll use the gravitational anomalies to our advantage." The Galatea swung sharply, the inertial dampeners straining to compensate. The tactical display shifted, the anomalies now between them and their pursuers, a temporary reprieve. "Marcus, I need that extraction window. Now," Elena commanded, urgency threading through her words. Ayers's fingers danced over the controls, his focus absolute. "Almost there, stabilizing, now." A surge of data flooded the command deck, the recalibrations aligning with the dark matter concentrations. The Galatea's systems hummed with newfound precision, the extraction protocols initializing. "Extraction underway," Bond confirmed, relief mingling with tension. "We've got a window, but it's closing fast." Elena nodded, a flicker of determination in her eyes. "Maintain defensive posture. We just need to hold them off until we've secured enough." The Syndicate ships, undeterred, broke through the anomalies with renewed vigor. Their weapons flared, a barrage of energy converging on the Galatea's position. "Brace for impact," Elena ordered, her grip firm on the command console. The ship shuddered violently, the shields straining under the concentrated assault. "Captain, shields are failing," Bond reported, her voice edged with desperation. Elena's mind whirled, each decision a gamble with stakes beyond measure. "Redirect all auxiliary power to forward shields. Prepare for emergency warp jump if necessary." The Syndicate ships pressed their advantage, their attacks relentless. The Galatea's defenses teetered on the brink, the margin for error narrowing with each passing second. Outside, the nebula's ethereal beauty masked the turmoil within, the cosmic battle unseen by the silent expanse. Yet within the confines of the Galatea, the tension was palpable, each crew member a vital component of a machine driven by survival. Elena's gaze swept across the command deck, taking in the determined faces of her crew. Each one was a testament to humanity's resolve, a collective will to push boundaries and defy odds. Her attention snapped back to the tactical display, a grim determination settling in her chest. "Bond, target their engines. We need to cripple their pursuit capability." "Acknowledged, Captain," Bond replied, her focus unflinching. The Galatea's weapons fired with renewed precision, the shots seeking out the vulnerabilities of their adversaries. The Syndicate ships weaved through the onslaught, their maneuvers a testament to their pilots' skill. Yet Elena's strategy was not without effect. A well-placed shot struck one of the Syndicate vessels, its engine sputtering before it veered off course, smoke trailing in its wake. "One down," Bond noted, a flicker of satisfaction in her voice. Elena seized the opportunity, her mind a whirlwind of calculations. "Focus on the remaining two. We can't let them regroup." The Galatea danced through the nebula, a symphony of motion and intent. Each maneuver was a testament to the crew's synergy, their actions a seamless blend of instinct and command. "Captain, the Syndicate ships are pulling back," Bond observed, her tone a mixture of relief and caution. Alina's eyes narrowed, suspicion threading through her thoughts. Why are they retreating? They had the advantage. Ayers, who had been monitoring the extraction progress, interjected. Alina, the gravitational anomalies are intensifying. The nebula's becoming unstable. Realization dawned on Alina, a chilling clarity settling over her. They're using the anomalies against us. We need to get out of here, now. Preparing for emergency warp jump, Bond confirmed, her hands a blur across the controls. The Galatia's engines flared, the ship poised to escape the encroaching chaos. Yet even as they prepared to jump, Alina knew the threat was far from over. Marcus, ensure the data is secured, she ordered, her voice firm with resolve. We need to know what we're up against. Ayers nodded, his attention focused on the terminal. Data secured and backed up. Captain, warp jump ready, Bond reported, her expression tense but determined. Execute jump, Alina commanded, her gaze fixed ahead. The Galatea surged forward, the warp drive propelling them through space. As the stars elongated into streaks of light, Alina knew the situation was anything but resolved. The Syndicate's presence had heightened the stakes, and the nebula's instability posed a danger that extended beyond their immediate peril. Yet, as the Galatea raced through the void, Alina's resolve remained unbroken. The race for dark matter had become a battle for survival, one that demanded every ounce of ingenuity and courage they could muster. In the depths of space, the UNS Galatea vanished into the ether, leaving behind a nebula shrouded in mystery and danger, an enigma that promised both peril and possibility. The interstellar assembly chamber was a construct of meticulous design, a confluence of various alien architectures that spoke to the complex hierarchy of the consortium. Within its spherical confines, representatives from the myriad member species engaged in heated debate, their voices a resonant blend of frequencies. The topic at hand: the growing insubordination among human factions following the enforcement of the communicative conduct mandate, specifically the prohibition of sarcasm. For the consortium, sarcasm was anathema, a linguistic virus that eroded the foundation of precise communication they so valued. The ban, enforced under the pretext of maintaining clarity and order, had been met with unexpected resistance from the human delegates. The humans, with their intricate linguistic tapestry, viewed the prohibition as an affront to their cultural identity, a sentiment that quickly fomented dissent. Ambassador Liren of the Zyriel, a race known for their crystalline integuments and stoic demeanor, presided over the proceedings. The Zyriel were one of the founding members of the consortium and their influence was considerable. Liren's voice, like the chime of resonant glass, echoed through the chamber. The human faction's refusal to comply with the communicative conduct mandate represents a significant breach of protocol. Their adherence to sarcasm introduces ambiguity that is unacceptable within the consortium's parameters. Across the chamber, the human ambassador, Dr. Alara Monroe, stood as a lone figure amidst the sea of alien representatives. Her expression was a careful mask of diplomacy. Ambassador Liren, while we understand the consortium's emphasis on clarity, it is imperative to recognize that language is a cultural construct. For humans, sarcasm is not merely a communicative style but a profound expression of our cognitive processes. Liren's crystalline visage betrayed no emotion. That is precisely the issue, Ambassador Monroe. Such expressions impede optimal communication and understanding. The consortium's strength lies in its ability to transcend cultural barriers through uniformity. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly, highlighting the isolation of the human position. Outside the assembly chamber, the situation was deteriorating. Human colonies, already strained by the intense demand for dark matter resources, began experiencing a cascade of logistical failures. The alien technology provided by the consortium, while advanced, was inscrutable to many human engineers, leading to frequent malfunctions and a reliance on alien oversight that many found suffocating. Within the human enclave on the mining planet of Aetheris, tensions simmered. The colony's infrastructure was on the brink of collapse. Power outages were frequent, and the environmental controls, crucial for sustaining human life, were faltering. The human engineers, led by Chief Engineer Marcus Hale, were locked in a desperate struggle to maintain the failing systems. "Marcus, this isn't sustainable," said Dr. Sarah Kim, a xenobiologist turned de facto leader of the human colony. Her voice was weary, her eyes shadowed by sleepless nights. "We're working with technology we barely understand, and without the consortium's willingness to share critical systems knowledge, we're always a step away from catastrophe." Marcus Hale, a man of pragmatic disposition, rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "I know, Sarah, but they refuse to share anything beyond operational parameters. It's as if they want us to remain dependent." The two shared a moment of silent frustration, a shared understanding of their precarious position. For all their ingenuity and resilience, the humans were trapped in a cycle of dependency that stifled their potential. Meanwhile, in the orbital command station above Aetheris, Consortium operative Thalakon observed the unfolding chaos with clinical detachment. As a member of the Bakar, a species renowned for their strategic acumen, Thalkon's role was to ensure the efficient extraction and transport of dark matter. Human inefficiency was a variable he had not anticipated. "Human emotionality continues to disrupt operational efficiency," Thalakon remarked to his assistant, a diminutive Zaltor known as Kryn. The Zaltor, with their amorphous forms and adaptive communication capabilities, were adept at navigating the complex social structures of the consortium. Kryn shifted, their form rippling with subtle iridescence. Their resistance to the communicative conduct mandate has amplified their inefficiencies. "Perhaps a recalibration of our approach is warranted." Thalakon considered the suggestion, his mind a latticework of probabilities and outcomes. "A recalibration, yes, but coercion must not be apparent. We require a method that promotes assimilation while minimizing the perception of imposition." Below, the human colonists continued their struggle. Communication with Earth had become sporadic, a consequence of both technological disruptions and the consortium's stringent control over interstellar transmissions. The isolation was palpable, feeding into a growing sense of desperation. In the colony's communal area, Dr. Monroe addressed the gathered workers, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that loomed over them. "I know many of you are frustrated. We are too, but we must focus on what we can control. Our ingenuity, our resilience. These are strengths that have seen us through adversity before." A murmur of assent spread through the crowd, a fragile thread of hope weaving through the collective despair. Yet, beneath the surface, the tension was palpable, a simmering unrest that threatened to erupt. Marcus Hale, standing beside Monroe, added his voice. "We need to find a way to bridge the gap with the consortium. If we can secure the knowledge we need to maintain our systems independently, we can reduce our vulnerabilities." Despite the apparent hopelessness, a spark of determination flickered among the humans. Their resolve was a testament to their indomitable spirit, albeit one that appeared increasingly outmatched by the consortium's overwhelming advantage. As the days passed, the situation on Aetheris grew more dire. Reports of sabotage began to surface, hinting at a faction within the colony that sought to escalate the conflict. The potential for internal rebellion added a new layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. Dr. Kim, tasked with investigating the reports, confronted Monroe in the dimly lit command center. "Alara, we have evidence of intentional damage to the environmental controls. Someone is trying to force our hand." Monroe's expression hardened, her mind racing through the implications. If this is true, it could give the consortium justification to impose even stricter measures. The notion of a rogue element within their ranks was a chilling prospect, one that threatened to unravel the tenuous unity that held the colony together. Yet, even as the evidence mounted, the identity of the saboteur remained elusive. Amidst the turmoil, Marcus Hale found himself drawn into an unlikely alliance with Thalakon. Driven by mutual necessity, the two began a clandestine dialogue, exchanging insights into the technological challenges facing the colony. Though their motivations were disparate, a flicker of mutual respect took root, a recognition of the other's acumen. In one of their covert meetings, Hale expressed a candid observation. "Thalakon, for all the consortium's emphasis on order, you've underestimated the complexity of human dynamics. We may be emotional, chaotic at times, but it's in that chaos that innovation often thrives." Thalakon regarded Hale with a measured gaze, the Vikar's analytical mind processing the human's words. "Your perspective is intriguing, Marcus Hale. It suggests a potential avenue for cooperation, albeit one fraught with unpredictability." As the days turned to weeks, the situation reached a critical juncture. The human colony stood on the precipice, teetering between survival and collapse. The consortium's patience was wearing thin, and the threat of intervention loomed large. Yet, in the face of overwhelming odds, a kernel of hope persisted. The clandestine exchanges between Hale and Thalakon bore fruit, yielding insights that began to alleviate the colony's technological woes. The shared knowledge, though limited, offered a glimmer of possibility, a testament to the potential for collaboration amidst conflict. For the humans of Aetheris, the path forward remained shrouded in uncertainty. The consortium's shadow loomed large, a constant reminder of their precarious position. Yet, within the heart of the colony, a resilient spirit endured, a spirit that refused to be extinguished, even in the face of apparent hopelessness. As the conflict deepened, the bonds between the colony's inhabitants grew stronger, forged in the crucible of shared adversity. Dr. Monroe, Marcus Hale, and Dr. Kim emerged as pivotal figures, their leadership a beacon for those who clung to the hope of a brighter future. In the end, it was perhaps this unyielding spirit that posed the greatest challenge to the consortium's machinations, a testament to the human capacity for endurance and innovation, even when outmatched by forces beyond their control. The dark matter resource race continued unabated, a relentless pursuit that tested the limits of human and alien alike. Yet, within the depths of the struggle, the seeds of a new understanding began to take root, a fragile promise of change that hinted at the potential for a future in which humanity could stand as equals on the galactic stage. The atmosphere aboard the human vessel, the UNSC Odysseus, had shifted from the initial enthusiasm of discovery to a palpable tension as the crew faced mounting obstacles. Captain Mira Sandoval stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic display that showed the intricate dance of celestial bodies and the swirling dark matter streams that formed the backbone of the galaxy's hidden power reserves. The Odysseus had already secured a moderate amount of dark matter, the resource that promised to revolutionize energy consumption across human colonies. However, rival factions, notably the Vraxian Syndicate, had increased their efforts to corner the market, employing increasingly aggressive tactics to disrupt human operations. "Captain Sandoval, we're detecting a spike in gravitational anomalies near the extraction zone," reported Lieutenant Haruto Tanaka, his voice tense. "It seems the Vraxians have deployed a gravitic interference field." Mira frowned, her mind racing through potential solutions. The interference field was a sophisticated piece of technology, designed to destabilize the delicate machinery required for dark matter extraction. She knew the field would not only hinder their operations but could also pose a significant threat to the hull integrity of the Odysseus. "Divert engineering teams to reinforce the field stabilizers," she instructed. "We need to ensure the safety of our crew first. Tanaka, see if you can triangulate the source of the interference. We might be able to disrupt it." As the crew scrambled to execute her orders, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. The Vraxians had perfected their tactics, using espionage and sabotage to undermine human efforts. The Odysseus had already suffered several close calls, and the strain was beginning to show on the crew. In the mess hall, tensions were simmering among the crew members. The long hours and relentless pressure were taking their toll. Dr. Samuel Klein, the ship's lead physicist, sat across from Chief Engineer Lila Chen, their conversation charged with frustration. "We're pushing the limits of our technology, Lila," Samuel said, rubbing his temples. "The gravitic interference is just the tip of the iceberg. The Vraxians seem to anticipate every move we make." Lila sighed, her eyes weary. I know, Sam, but we have to adapt. Maybe we can recalibrate the sensors to detect the interference pattern more precisely. If we can isolate the frequency, we might be able to counteract it. Samuel nodded slowly. It's worth a shot, but we need more than just technical solutions. We need to outthink them. Back on the bridge, Lieutenant Tanaka's efforts bore fruit. Captain, I've located the source of the interference. It's coming from a cloaked Vraxian vessel stationed at the edge of the extraction zone. Myra's eyes narrowed. Can we neutralize it? We can attempt to disrupt their cloaking field with an EM pulse, Tanaka suggested. It won't last long, but it might give us an opening. Do it, Mira commanded, and prepare a boarding team. If we can disable that vessel, it will buy us some time. The boarding operation was a calculated risk, but the crew of the Odysseus was no stranger to danger. As the impulse surged through space, the cloaked Vraxian ship flickered into sight, its sleek form suddenly vulnerable. The boarding team, led by Lieutenant Commander Javier Ortiz, launched in a rapid shuttle, racing against the clock to secure their target. Inside the Vraxian vessel, the team faced fierce resistance. The Vraxians, reptilian and ruthless, fought with a ferocity that spoke of desperation. Ortiz and his team advanced through the narrow corridors, their movements precise and relentless. They knew the mission was critical. Failure was not an option. Back on the Odysseus, Mira monitored the operation closely. The success of the boarding team was vital, not just for the immediate mission but for the morale of her crew. The constant threat of the Vraxians had bred a sense of siege, an unyielding pressure that threatened to fracture the unity that held them together. Suddenly, the bridge lights flickered, and the ship's systems wavered. Report, Mira barked, her voice cutting through the sudden chaos. Energy surge from the dark matter core, shouted Lila over the comms. It's overloading. Shut it down before it breaches, Mira ordered, her mind already calculating the potential fallout. The extraction process was inherently unstable, the dark matter volatile and unpredictable. If they lost control, the resulting explosion could cripple the Odysseus. Lila's team worked frantically in engineering, their fingers flying over control panels. Sweat beaded on their foreheads as they fought to stabilize the core, their every action a testament to human ingenuity under duress. Meanwhile, on the Vraxian vessel, Ortiz's team reached the control room, their path littered with the bodies of their adversaries. With practiced efficiency, they set about disabling the ship's systems, targeting the interference generator that had plagued the Odysseus. But the Vraxians were not without their own contingencies. As Ortiz's team worked, the ship shuddered violently, warning lights flashing as emergency protocols activated. Self-destruct sequence initiated, came the cold, mechanical voice of the Vraxian AI. Ortiz cursed under his breath, his mind racing. We need to get out of here, now. Back on the Odysseus, Mira watched the status display with mounting dread. The boarding team's transponder signals blinked erratically, their fates uncertain. Abort the mission. Get them back here, Mira ordered, her heart pounding. The loss of Ortiz and his team would be a devastating blow, both strategically and personally. As the shuttle made a desperate retreat from the Vraxian ship, the Odysseus's crew held their breath, fear and hope intertwined. The moments stretched, a fragile thread that could snap at any instant. Finally, the shuttle docked with the Odysseus, the airlock cycling open to reveal Ortiz and his team, bloodied but alive. Relief swept through the bridge, a momentary reprieve in the midst of crisis. But the victory was short-lived. The Vraxian vessel exploded in a blinding flash, the shockwave rippling through space. The Odysseus was rocked violently, alarms blaring as systems struggled to compensate. Damage report, Mira demanded, her voice steady despite the tumult. Hull integrity holding, but barely, Lila replied. We can't take another hit like that. Mira nodded, her mind already moving to the next challenge. The Vraxians were relentless, their tactics designed to exploit every weakness. The human crew would need to be more resourceful, more adaptive than ever before. In the days that followed, the Odysseus continued its mission. the crew facing each new obstacle with a determination forged in adversity. The threat from the Vraxians loomed large, their presence a constant shadow. Yet, amidst the pressure and uncertainty, there were moments that spoke to the resilience of the human spirit. In the quiet of the observation deck, Samuel and Lila would often meet, their discussions a blend of science and strategy. They explored unconventional solutions, drawing on the diverse expertise of the crew. The challenges they faced demanded innovation, pushing them to the limits of their ingenuity. "We need to think outside the box," Lila said one evening, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. "The Vraxians may have superior technology, but we have something they don't." Samuel raised an eyebrow, curious. "What's that?" "Adaptability," Lila replied with a small smile. "We've always been able to turn adversity into opportunity. We just need to find the right angle." Her words resonated with Samuel, echoing the unspoken belief that had carried humanity through countless trials. As the pressures mounted, it was this adaptability that offered a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even in their darkest moments, the human spirit was capable of rising to the challenge. Yet, as the Odysseus pressed deeper into contested space, the stakes grew ever higher. The Vraxians, aware of their rivals' resilience, escalated their tactics, deploying clandestine operations designed to fracture the unity of the human crew. It was during one such operation that the Odysseus encountered its most perilous challenge yet. A Vraxian double agent, embedded within the crew, had sabotaged the navigation systems, setting the ship on a collision course with a dense asteroid field. Chaos erupted on the bridge as the realization dawned, the crew scrambling to avert disaster. Myra's voice cut through the turmoil, a beacon of authority. "All hands, brace for impact. Engineering, we need thrusters online now." In the heart of the ship, Lila and her team worked with feverish urgency, rerouting power and bypassing damaged circuits. The ship groaned under the strain, the asteroid field looming ever closer. As the crew fought to regain control, Mira faced an impossible decision. They could attempt an emergency maneuver, risking the structural integrity of the Odysseus, or they could prepare for a crash landing, hoping to survive the impact. "Captain," Tanaka called out, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We have a narrow window. We can slingshot around the largest asteroid, but it's risky." Mira weighed the options, her mind a whirlwind of calculations and possibilities. The crew looked to her, their faith and fear intertwined. She knew the decision she made would define their fate. "Do it," she commanded, her voice resolute. "Prepare for slingshot maneuver." The bridge was a flurry of activity as the crew executed the plan, their movements a testament to their training and cohesion. The Odysseus shuddered as it accelerated, the gravitational pull of the asteroid a precarious dance that could spell salvation or doom. Time seemed to stretch as the ship hurtled through the asteroid field, the crew holding their breath, each second a lifetime. The universe was a silent spectator, the outcome uncertain. Finally, with a final burst of speed, the Odysseus cleared the asteroid field, emerging into the relative safety of open space. A collective sigh of relief swept through the ship, the tension dissipating like a breath exhaled. But their respite was short-lived. The damage to the Odysseus was extensive, the ship limping through space, vulnerable to further attacks. The Vraxians, relentless and vengeful, were sure to strike again. Mira stood on the bridge, her resolve unbroken but the weight of leadership heavy upon her. The crew looked to her for guidance, their faith a fragile thread that held them together. As the Odysseus drifted through the stars, the crew faced their darkest moment, the path forward fraught with uncertainty. Yet, even as the shadows deepened, the glimmers of human ingenuity and adaptability shone through, a beacon in the void. The story of the Odysseus was far from over, each member of her crew a testament to the indomitable spirit that defined them. They had faced impossible odds and emerged, if not unscathed, then undaunted. In the silence of the bridge, Mira contemplated the challenges ahead, her mind already turning toward the next move. The pressure was relentless, the stakes higher than ever, but the human spirit was forged in such crucibles. As the stars blazed against the backdrop of infinity, the crew of the Odysseus prepared to continue their journey, their resolve unwavering. The path was uncertain, the obstacles formidable, but they would press on, driven by the hope that defined them. In the vastness of space, the race for dark matter was far from over, the final chapter yet unwritten. But the story of humanity's resilience, their capacity to adapt and endure, was only just beginning. The shattered remnants of the United Earth Fleet hung in the void, a tableau of grim defeat against the backdrop of distant stars. The battle for the dark matter harvesters had left most of the human ships crippled or destroyed, their once magnificent armadas now reduced to floating wreckage. The Alien Coalition, a loose alliance of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, had proven their technological superiority yet again. Their ships, sleek and impervious, glided effortlessly among the debris, securing control over the precious dark matter fields. Admiral Helena Jong stood on the bridge of the UES Resolute, her face a mask of stoic determination. The Resolute, a heavily damaged Titan-class battleship, functioned on the barest minimum systems, its hull scarred and leaking atmosphere in places. Around her, the bridge crew worked with mechanical precision, the weight of their situation pressing down on them like a physical force. "Status report," Jong commanded, her voice cutting through the tense silence. "Shields at 5%, weapons offline, propulsion systems barely operational," reported Lieutenant Akantala, the ship's tactical officer. "We have life support for another 48 hours, at best." Jong nodded, absorbing the grim reality without flinching. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and stranded deep within enemy territory. Yet surrender was not an option. Humanity's future was at stake, and she was not about to consign it to oblivion. The coalition, flush with victory, had already begun the process of harvesting the dark matter. Their ships, designed with precision and efficiency, had overtaken the resource-rich sector with minimal loss. To them, the battle was over, another decisive victory in their campaign against the upstart humans who dared challenge their galactic dominion. "They think they've won," Jong said quietly, her eyes narrowing as she gazed at the tactical display showing the coalition ships. "They underestimate us, Admiral. We barely have enough power to keep the lights on, let alone fight back," Akantala pointed out, voicing the crew's unspoken fears. "That's precisely why they won't see it coming," Jong replied, a hint of steel in her voice. "Prepare a full systems diagnostic. I want to know exactly what we've got left to work with." The crew sprang into action, each member driven by an unspoken understanding. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the very essence of human tenacity. In the cold vacuum of space, where no one would hear them scream, they chose to fight. As the Resolute systems flickered under the strain of battle damage, Chief Engineer Marcus Delgado worked tirelessly in the engine room, coaxing every last drop of power from the failing reactors. His hands moved with practiced efficiency over the controls, his mind racing through calculations and potential solutions. He knew the ship was on its last legs, but there was still a chance, however slim. "Admiral," came Delgado's voice over the intercom, crackling with static. "We might have a shot at getting one of the engines back online, enough for a short burst. It won't get us far, but it could give us an edge." "Do it," Jong ordered, her voice unwavering. "We need every advantage we can get." In the command center, the crew executed Jong's orders with precision. They were a well-oiled machine, each individual a crucial cog in the larger apparatus of survival. Among them, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Holstein monitored communications, her eyes scanning for any sign of weakness in the Coalition's operations. "Admiral, I've intercepted some Coalition chatter," Holstein reported. "They're reorganizing their fleet, moving to secure the remaining dark matter fields. Their attention is elsewhere." "Excellent," Jong remarked, her mind already calculating the next move. "This is our opening." As the Resolute lurched forward, its engine sputtering to life, Jong's plan began to take shape. They would need to strike hard and fast, exploiting the Coalition's overconfidence. It was a gamble, But they had no other choice. The humans had one ace left to play, an experimental program developed in secret, codenamed Pandora. It was a virus designed to infiltrate and disrupt the Coalition's advanced AI systems. It was risky, untested under combat conditions, but it was their best shot at turning the tide. Pandora is our only option, Zhang stated, addressing the bridge. We need to get close enough to deploy it. If we can disable their systems, even for a moment, we can create chaos. The crew nodded, understanding the stakes. The Coalition's arrogance was their greatest weakness, a chink in their seemingly impenetrable armor. The humans would exploit it with every ounce of ingenuity and resourcefulness they possessed. As the Resolute limped towards the heart of the Coalition's operations, Zhang felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like a leaden cloak. The lives of her crew, the fate of humanity, hinged on the success of this audacious plan. Failure was not an option. In the quiet tension of the command center, the crew worked with grim determination. Delgado's efforts in the engine room paid off, granting them precious seconds of acceleration. Holstein's steady hand on communications kept them informed, while Akintola's tactical acumen guided their approach vector. Entering optimal range for deployment, Akintola announced, his voice steady. "Execute Pandora," Zhang ordered, her heart pounding in her chest. The virus, a digital phantom, leapt from the Resolute and into the Coalition's network like a silent specter. It spread rapidly, its code weaving through the alien systems with surgical precision. For a moment, nothing happened, the void holding its breath. Then, chaos erupted. Coalition ships jerked erratically, their systems compromised. Communications scrambled, engines misfired, and weapon systems went offline. The once coordinated fleet dissolved into disarray, their technological advantage nullified by the invisible hand of human ingenuity. "Now's our chance," Zhang shouted, seizing the moment. "All power to weapons and propulsion. Hit them hard." The Resolute, battered and bruised, surged forward with renewed purpose. Its remaining weapon systems roared to life, lancing beams of energy into the confused Coalition fleet. Each strike was a testament to human resilience, a defiant shout into the void. The Coalition, staggered by the unexpected assault, struggled to regain control. Their overconfidence had left them vulnerable, their hubris a fatal flaw. In their complacency, they had forgotten the indomitable spirit of their human adversaries. On the bridge, Zhang watched the tactical display intently. The Coalition's response was swift, but their coordination was shattered. With their AI systems in disarray, they were forced to rely on manual control, a task for which they were ill-prepared. "Focus fire on their command ships," Zhang instructed, her voice a beacon of calm amid the storm. "Without leadership, they'll crumble." The crew responded with precision, targeting the Coalition's command vessels with relentless efficiency. Each salvo was a blow against the tyranny of their oppressors, a strike for freedom. As the battle raged around them, the Resolute pressed its advantage, exploiting every weakness. The Coalition's numerical superiority was rendered meaningless, their ships reduced to isolated pockets of resistance. Yet even as victory seemed within reach, Zhang knew their position was precarious. The Resolute was on borrowed time, its systems stretched to the breaking point. They needed to end this, and quickly. "Prepare for emergency jump," Zhang ordered, her mind racing through contingencies. "We can't hold this position for long." Jump coordinates locked, Holstein confirmed, her fingers flying over the controls. "We're ready on your command." The Coalition, though disoriented, began to regroup, their ships rallying under makeshift leadership. They were formidable even in disarray, their resolve hardened by desperation. "Execute jump on my mark," Zhang said, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Resolute vanished from the heart of the maelstrom, leaving behind a battlefield in chaos. The humans had struck a blow against their oppressors, a defiant testament to their refusal to bow in the face of overwhelming odds. As the ship reemerged in the relative safety of deep space, The crew allowed themselves a moment of relief. They had survived, against all expectations, their determination unyielding. Damage report, Zhang requested, her mind already turning to the next steps. Minimal additional damage from combat, Akantala replied, his voice tinged with exhaustion. But we're still hanging by a thread. Zhang nodded, her expression resolute. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. The coalition would regroup, their retaliation inevitable. Yet humanity had proven they were not to be underestimated. We have a chance now, Zhang said, looking at each member of her crew. We need to get back to Earth, regroup, and plan our next move. This isn't over. The seeds of human resurgence had been planted, watered by sacrifice and determination. The coalition's overconfidence had been their undoing, a lesson humanity would ensure they remembered. As the Resolute made its way back through the void, its crew exhausted but unbroken, their hearts burned with a singular purpose. They would fight on, no matter the cost, for the promise of a future unshackled by tyranny. In the dark expanse of space, amid the ruins of conflict, humanity's spirit blazed ever brighter. The breaking point had been reached, the tide set to turn, but the outcome remained uncertain. All they knew was that they would not go quietly into the night. The Lixati conclave, having dominated the interstellar dark matter trade for several decades, found themselves at a critical juncture. Their strategic hold on the nebulous energy had been unchallenged until now, fortified by their advanced technologies and superior understanding of the dark matter clusters that punctuated the voids between colonized systems. However, recent developments had begun to erode their hegemony. Intelligence reports from the peripheral sectors spoke of a burgeoning competitor, Homo sapiens. Initially dismissed as a nascent species with rudimentary spacefaring capabilities, their recent activities had caused ripples across the galactic economic landscape. The conclave's analysts, entrenched in their data models, had consistently undervalued the threat posed by humanity's resourcefulness and adaptability. The shift began subtly. The human-operated vessel, the UNS Discovery, engaged in a routine voyage within the Zeta Reticuli sector, had reported an anomaly in dark matter density. This region was previously considered barren, a false assumption based on Lixati's outdated cartographic monopolies. The Discovery's crew, driven by a combination of curiosity and necessity, diverted their course, initiating a series of exploratory maneuvers. The onboard scientists, leveraging an unexpected breakthrough in xenoparticle detection, a hybrid technology co-developed with input from a myriad of Earth's international scientific consortiums, detected a concentrated node of dark matter. The implications were significant. The node's energy readings suggested a potential yield surpassing those of known deposits by a factor of 10. Human ingenuity was immediately evident. Within weeks, a contingent task force was mobilized, comprising engineering specialists, theoretical physicists, and security personnel. The operation was codenamed Project Aegis. Unlike the Lixati, who relied on cumbersome bureaucratic chains of command, the human response was agile, characterized by decentralized decision-making and a pragmatic approach to problem-solving. The Lixati, upon learning of the human incursion, dispatched a reconnaissance squadron to intercept. Their intention was clear: assert dominance through intimidation and, if necessary, force. The squadron's commanding officer, Exarch Trinax, harbored no doubts about the superiority of their vessels. The Lixati crafts were equipped with hyper-accelerated particle beams and gravitic shields, technological marvels that had subdued countless adversaries. Unbeknownst to Trinax, human strategic doctrine had evolved rapidly since their introduction to the galactic stage. The UNS Discovery, and its accompanying fleet, exploited their knowledge of quantum coherence and entanglement to develop a new form of stealth technology. This innovation rendered their ships effectively invisible to conventional detection methods employed by the Lixati. As the Lixati squadron entered the sector, their sensors registered an unsettling void. The humans had vanished. Confounded, Trinax ordered a full-spectrum scan, deploying drones to sweep the area. It was during this moment of vulnerability that humanity revealed its hand. From the shadow of a nearby asteroid belt, the human fleet emerged. The UNS Discovery and its counterparts executed a coordinated assault, utilizing electromagnetic pulse weaponry to devastating effect. The Lixati ships, their electronics rendered inert, were left adrift. Human boarding parties, equipped with advanced exosuits and ionized weaponry, secured the Lixati vessels with surgical precision. The confrontation was a masterclass in strategic foresight and adaptability. Human command had anticipated Lixati tactics and had prepared countermeasures that leveraged their unique technological advancements. This was not merely a display of military prowess but a testament to the synergy of human creativity and scientific innovation. The aftermath of this engagement sent shockwaves through the conclave. The loss of several vessels, coupled with the newfound human claim to a significant dark matter node, forced a reevaluation of their strategic calculus. The conclave's High Council convened an emergency session, their deliberations marked by an unprecedented tone of urgency. For the first time, the Lixati recognized the potential of humanity not as mere opportunists but as genuine contenders in the galactic theater. The humans exhibited a resilience and ingenuity that defied conventional metrics of power and influence. As Project Aegis continued unabated, the human foothold in the Zeta Reticuli sector expanded. The node, once thought to be an anomaly, was part of a larger constellation of dark matter deposits, previously obscured by Lixati misinformation. The data gleaned from these sites not only bolstered human energy reserves but catalyzed further advancements in their understanding of dark matter physics. The conclave's attempts to negotiate a ceasefire were met with cautious diplomacy from Earth's representatives. The humans, while willing to entertain dialogue, were no longer operating from a position of weakness. Their newfound assertiveness was a reflection of their growing confidence and capability. Within the corridors of the United Nations Space Command, there was a palpable sense of accomplishment. The successful execution of Project Aegis had not only reinforced human presence in the sector but had galvanized a sense of unity across Earth's disparate factions. The realization that humanity could stand toe-to-toe with a galactic power imbued the species with a renewed sense of purpose. In the broader galactic community, the events in Zeta Reticuli served as a catalyst for reevaluation. Other species, long under the thumb of Lixati economic dominance, saw in humanity a potential ally. This shifting dynamic laid the groundwork for new alliances and trade partnerships, further eroding the conclave's influence. The Lixati, now acutely aware of the precariousness of their position, began to recalibrate their strategies. Discussions of technological exchange and joint ventures were broached, signaling a tentative willingness to adapt to the changing landscape. Humans, as demonstrated, were not to be underestimated. Their journey from the fringes of the galactic stage to a position of influence was marked by a series of calculated risks and innovative breakthroughs. As the dark matter resource race continued, it became increasingly evident that the initial underestimation of humanity's potential was a miscalculation with far-reaching consequences. The turning point had arrived. Humanity, with its unique blend of creativity, courage, and resilience, had irrevocably altered the balance of power. The final confrontation loomed on the horizon, yet the momentum was firmly in the hands of this ascendant species. The resonant hum of dark matter extraction continued, now underscored by the indomitable spirit of those who dared to challenge the stars. The conclave of galactic powers, a formidable assemblage of the most advanced civilizations within the cosmos, had long dismissed humanity as a fledgling species, their potential limited, their ambitions quaint. Yet, within the sprawling expanses of the Orion Arm, a new competition had emerged, one that revolved around the acquisition and utilization of dark matter, a resource both enigmatic and pivotal. The races of the conclave, with their millennia of existence and technological prowess, believed themselves unparalleled in their ability to harness this elusive substance. Humans, they reckoned, would flounder in their attempts, relegated to the periphery of cosmic relevance. However, in the void of space, the unexpected often proves decisive. The moment of reckoning approached with the activation of the Kronos Array, a massive structure orbiting a neutron star, constructed by the Conclave's leading technocrats to channel and convert dark matter into a usable form of energy. This endeavor required precision and a profound understanding of the fabric of the universe itself, a feat the Conclave deemed beyond human capability. Yet, unbeknownst to them, humanity had been quietly laboring, leveraging their unique attributes in preparation for this very challenge. As the array's initialization sequence commenced, its architects, the Xanthar Coalition, watched with a mixture of pride and confidence. The array's initial pulse sent ripples through space-time, an elegant dance of physics that defied easy comprehension. The Xanthar, with their crystalline logic and mathematical supremacy, were certain of their impending success. In their eyes, humanity's efforts were akin to an infant attempting to grasp the cosmos. However, within the command center of the UNSV Endeavour, Captain Alara Singh observed the array's activation with a studied calm. Her crew, a meticulously selected team of interdisciplinary experts, stood poised at their stations. For years, humanity had been honing their capabilities in secret, mastering the nuances of dark matter interaction through a combination of theoretical brilliance and practical ingenuity. The pivotal moment arrived as the array's conduits began to resonate with the dark matter fields. The Conclave's observers, positioned within their own crafts at a safe distance, monitored the proceedings with an air of superiority. Yet, within the human vessel, a different story was unfolding. Initiate Sequence Omega, Captain Singh commanded, her voice a steady anchor amidst the unfolding chaos. Her crew responded in unison, their actions precise and synchronized, the culmination of relentless training and unyielding determination. Dr. Marcus Halverson, head of the Theoretical Physics Division, initiated the Quantum Harmonics Interface, a human innovation that allowed for real-time adaptation to the erratic fluctuations of dark matter interactions. It was a system born of necessity, engineered to exploit the very unpredictability that stymied other species. As the interface engaged, the data streams began to align, their chaotic patterns coalescing into a coherent structure. The Xanthar's initial amusement gave way to unease as they observed the human vessel's progress. Their calculations suggested that such synchronization was improbable, if not impossible. Yet, the evidence was undeniable. The humans had found a way to not only match but surpass their efforts. The array's energy output began to falter, its previously steady flow disrupted by the unforeseen interference. Panic rippled through the Conclave's ranks, their assumptions of superiority crumbling under the weight of empirical contradiction. The humans had achieved what the Conclave had believed beyond their grasp. Phase 2, Execute, Singh ordered. Lieutenant Sarah Tanaka, the chief engineer, activated the resonance amplifiers, devices capable of amplifying the subtle vibrations of dark matter fields into a cascade of energy. The ship's reactors surged in response, the power levels reaching unprecedented heights. The Conclave's flagship, the Zenith Ascendant, attempted to compensate for the array's instability, but the humans' strategic precision rendered their efforts futile. The Zenith's commander, Commodore Varax, watched with dawning horror as the humans' ingenuity unraveled his carefully laid plans. Impossible, Varax muttered, his voice laced with disbelief. They cannot have achieved this. Dr. Aisha Kumar, the UNSV Endeavour's chief scientist, monitored the telemetry with an analytical detachment, her assessments swift and incisive. The Xanthar's models failed to account for the dynamic adaptability of our systems, she observed, her tone pragmatic. Humanity's triumph was not merely a product of technological advancement, but of their inherent resilience and adaptability. The Conclave civilizations, entrenched in their traditions and linear thinking, had underestimated the human's capacity for innovation, a grave miscalculation. As the array's systems began to destabilize, the UNSV Endeavour maintained its course, its trajectory unwavering. The dark matter fields, once resistant and capricious, now bent to human will. The energy harvested was pure and potent, a testament to the species' determination to claim their place among the stars. The Conclave's fleet, once a symbol of unchallenged dominance, faltered in the face of this unforeseen reversal. The array, their crowning achievement, was rendered impotent by the humans' deft maneuvering and unparalleled insight. In the aftermath of their victory, Captain Singh addressed her crew, her voice carrying the weight of history. "We have shown the galaxy that humanity is more than the sum of its parts. We are explorers, innovators, and pioneers. This is our moment." The Conclave's representatives, their facades of superiority shattered, could only observe in silence. The humans, once underestimated and overlooked, had risen to the challenge with a brilliance that could not be denied. In the days that followed, the repercussions of humanity's triumph resonated throughout the galaxy. The Conclave, forced to reevaluate their perceptions, acknowledged the humans as equals, their potential no longer in question. The UNSV Endeavour returned to Earth, its crew celebrated as heroes. Yet, it was not accolades or recognition that drove them, but the unyielding drive to explore, to discover, and to transcend the limitations of their own understanding. This victory marked the dawn of a new era, one where humanity, emboldened by their achievements, embraced the boundless possibilities of the cosmos. The dark matter resource race had been but a single chapter in their ongoing saga, a testament to human excellence and a harbinger of the greatness yet to come. In the aftermath of humanity's unprecedented triumph in the dark matter resource race, the galactic community found itself irrevocably transformed. The once elusive substance, sought after by countless civilizations for its energy potential, now lay firmly in the hands of humanity, a species previously underestimated and overlooked. Their victory was not just in the acquisition of dark matter but in the strategic genius and relentless determination they exhibited. Humanity's pioneering efforts were spearheaded by the consortium of Terran nations, a coalition that had emerged from Earth's diverse cultures. Under the leadership of Director Elena Vasquez, their coordinated strategy had outmaneuvered technologically superior adversaries. Vasquez, whose personal sacrifices and unwavering resolve had guided the mission to success, now found herself at the heart of a new era. "We have shown them what it means to be human," Vasquez had said in her first address following the victory, her voice a blend of exhaustion and triumph. "Our strength lies not just in our technology but in our unity, our resilience, and our willingness to embrace the unknown." The impact of humanity's victory rippled through the galaxy. The once dominant Aelorian Empire, previously the frontrunners in the dark matter race, was forced to renegotiate their place among the interstellar powers. Their leader, High Chancellor Thalkor, publicly acknowledged humanity's ascendancy, a gesture of respect that signaled a shift in power dynamics and opened the door to new alliances. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council, a body that had long governed interstellar relations, was compelled to integrate humanity into its ranks. This unprecedented move signaled a recognition of humanity's newfound status as a key player on the cosmic stage. Counselor Ryloth, a veteran diplomat known for his pragmatic approach, was instrumental in facilitating humanity's inclusion. He remarked privately to his peers, "Their victory has redefined what we thought possible. We must adapt or be left behind." For the crew aboard the ISS Perseverance, the mission's success was both a culmination and a beginning. Captain James Carter, whose leadership had been instrumental in navigating the treacherous dark matter fields, was promoted to admiral, overseeing future expeditions. His dream of exploring the stars was now shared by all of humanity. Dr. Aisha Khan, the brilliant physicist whose theories made the mission possible, returned to Earth a celebrated hero. She established the Khan Institute for Interstellar Research, dedicated to advancing humanity's understanding of the universe. Her work inspired a generation of scientists who would continue to push the boundaries of knowledge. Among the crew, engineer Maria Chen found personal solace in the victory. Having lost her brother in an earlier conflict, she had joined the mission seeking closure. The success brought her a measure of peace, allowing her to honor his memory by contributing to humanity's progress. As humanity settled into its new role, The effects of their victory permeated all levels of society. Earth experienced a renaissance of technological and cultural growth fueled by dark matter's potential. Energy crises became a relic of the past, enabling sustainable development and prosperity across the globe. Humanity's influence extended beyond Earth, as colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter thrived with newfound resources. Even the most distant outposts felt the change, united under a banner of exploration and discovery. In the broader galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived, bringing with them a spirit of cooperation, innovation, and determination that other species could not ignore. The dark matter race had forged a new identity for mankind, one not defined by conquest, but by a shared vision for the future. As humanity looked to the stars, the echoes of their victory served as a testament to their place among the stars. They had not only secured a material victory but had reshaped the narrative of what it meant to be a galactic civilization. In the end, it was not the dark matter itself that changed the galaxy, but humanity's indomitable spirit. And so, a new chapter began, marked by an unyielding drive to explore the cosmos and an unwavering belief in the boundless potential of the human race.